Hey, what's up guys? This is Joe from Analog Archive back with another vinyl video. Today's video is going to be another addition to the Blue Note 1500 series, and specifically it will be Blue Note 1540, Hank Mobley featuring Donald Byrd and Lee Morgan. It's also called Hank Mobley Sextet, and he actually has another record that isn't too far away from this one that is also him in a sextet, but has a much different lineup. So this one, as kind of the title says, you've got Donald Byrd, Lee Morgan both on trumpet, Hank Mobley on tenor sax, Horace Silver's on the piano, Paul Chambers on bass, and Charlie Persip is on the drums. So essentially 5 of the 6 are some really big names. Charlie Persip, I'm not terribly familiar with. I've heard his name before, but I can't really recall other sessions that he's been on. But just a really great lineup. Horace Silver seems to be a very common piano player at this time. Paul Chambers is starting to inch his way in as well and appear on more and more albums. But this album was recorded November 25th, 1956, and then was released March 1957. And this is Hank Mobley's first session as a leader on Blue Note that is a 12-inch release. This is only a second release on Blue Note in general. In terms of him being the leader, he was on the Cafe Bohemia sessions. He was also on the one that I showed, 1518, Horace Silver and the Jazz Messengers, and he may have appeared on some other sessions, but aside from one 10-inch release that he had in 55, this was his first as a leader in terms of the 12-inch era for Blue Note. This was also the first of 12 Blue Note albums that Hank Mobley and Lee Morgan would kind of partner on. As the years went on, it became more and more common, especially when you got into the mid-60s, like No Room for Squares, Dippin' is also another one that he's on, and then a few Lee Morgan sessions, Lee Morgan led sessions as well. So a very great partnership between them, and great kind of album to start off with. In terms of what this album kind of comprises, this is one of the first blowing sessions that would appear in the Blue Note catalog. Another one was Johnny Griffin, which is coming up a little bit later, but this might be the first blowing session. I'm not too sure, but just a very fast-moving album. Every track is essentially a pretty quick, up-tempo kind of track, and just a really early appearance of the 3, Lee Morgan, Hank Mobley, and Donald Byrd. As I said already, Hank Mobley had a few sessions as a sideman, and then the one that he did is the 10-inch. But for Lee Morgan, he was just getting started. He had just done Indeed, 1538, that I believe Steven showed that one off in the bass clef. And then he was also introducing Lee Morgan on Savoy. So this was one of his first sessions that were all really coming in a very short period of time. He's going to appear on quite a few coming up as well in the 1540s. And so just really getting started. You can hear that on this album that he's really figuring out his sound very quickly, which is something that you didn't really see as much. But really incredible playing by Lee Morgan, especially on this. To get to the tracks themselves, there are 4 tracks. They're all composed by Hank Mobley. So you've got Touch and Go. You've got 2 tracks on each side, Touch and Go, double whammy on the A side, and then Barrel of Funk and Mobley Mania is on the B side. In terms of the first song, Touch and Go, it starts with Charlie Persip on the drums with a very short drum solo to kind of get the album started, and then comes in Horace Silver, so he's actually the one that kind of starts the solos. Great way to start the album off with. And then comes Hank Mobley, and then Donald Byrd, and just really great playing overall, real fast, and just really enjoyable overall. And you then get into the second song, Double Whammy. This one's a little bit slower than the first one. Again, that first song is real fast, lightning pace. Each of the solos, even though the song is, I think, like 7 or 8 minutes, it's just, you get maybe a minute, minute and a half a piece, and then it moves on to somebody else. So just 4 tracks, them all being longer, allows them to be able to really stretch out and solo for quite a bit, but also at the same time, when you're moving very quickly, it can kind of, the time can go by pretty quickly. So then we get into, again, Double Whammy. Still going to be really a pretty quick track, but just, again, a little bit slower than the first one. Hank Mobley really starts to show a little bit of his maturity, especially compared to Donald Byrd and Lee Morgan, who, again, are just kind of getting started in the jazz scene in the last maybe year or so, especially for Lee Morgan just starting out. But Hank Mobley really is the anchor for this album. Is really incredible playing, some of the best that I've heard on an album. And then Lee Morgan comes in and is just real precise with the notes, and just real fast paced. And then Donald Byrd comes in, and again, a little bit different of a style, much higher range for him. But in terms of, at least compared to Lee Morgan was about the pace, moving quick, but he wasn't hitting really those high notes, at least compared to Donald Byrd. When you get to the B-side, you got Barrel of Funk that starts it off. This is more of a swinging kind of feel to the tune, at least when I listened to it recently. And just a real nice contrast to the other songs on the album, which, again, just right out the gate are very fast moving, really get going very quickly. But this one, there's a little bit slower of a pace to it. You get a different sound to each of the solos, but just a really great song. This is also the longest song on the album, being a little over 11 minutes. So definitely a lot of time for each of them to solo. And then finally you get to the last song, Mobley Mania. And again, this one very fast again. Donald Byrd, Lee Morgan start off, again, taking advantage of that extra time that they have with these tracks, and really feed very well off of each other. And then Hank Mobley comes in and just is really incredible. This is, I think, of all the songs on the album, I think that this final track, Mobley Mania, was Hank Mobley's best performance. I mean, it was really hard to tell, but because they were all just incredible sessions, incredible tracks, but just a really enjoyable album. If you'd like the fast moving, more blowing sessions, there aren't any ballads on this, which is unique. At this time, it was just very all about moving as fast as you can, really showing off your talent. But a really nice album. Before I saw this album, I had seen it before, but never really listened to it. And when this popped up at a local store, I thought this was kind of my chance to get it. And so I listened to it again and was just blown away right from the beginning. Just really fast moving, which is really my speed. I do like the ballads, depending on who is on the albums, but the fast moving tracks are the ones that really excite me, and are the ones that I really enjoy hearing on the album. So this is the perfect album for me. A great session overall. This is a 70s, mid-70s Japanese pressing. I've shown one that was similar to this a few weeks ago. I think it was might have been a Vinyl Finds one, but pre-King pressing. So King Records pressing. This is the Toshiba EMI from the later 70s. Tried to somewhat copy the labels of of what you'd see on the originals, but really loud sound. It's a mono copy as well, so just really great one. Unfortunately, this is a very difficult album to find. I've never seen this come up, and even some of the Facebook groups I'm a part of, along with who I follow on Instagram, you really don't see this album pop up that much. I think this is actually one of the more pricey albums in the 1500 series in terms of originals, and I would not be surprised if they were easily upwards of $1,000 or even more for an original of it. But this also didn't really have many pressings either. I think that this is actually, there was an original, and then in 57, and then this might actually be the next one. I don't think there's a United Artists mono from the early 70s. There might be a later, like an 80s or 90s Japanese one, and then in terms of more recently with Classic Records or Music Matters or anything like that, I don't know for a fact if any of that has been touched, but it's just a really great album, and really enjoyed being able to listen to this one recently. This is Hank Mobley featuring Donald Byrd and Lee Morgan, Blue Note 1540. Okay, so that's it for this one. If you enjoyed it, please think about liking and subscribing. Thank you again to Steven for letting me be a continuing contributor to this Blue Note 1500 series. I think I have another one coming up soon, but till then, yeah, that'll be it for this one, and I'll see you in the next vinyl video. Bye.